Hello and welcome to One Man's Opinion. Today I am reviewing the Broadway revival of Elf, with book by Thomas Meehan and Bob Martin, music by Matthew Sklar, and lyrics by Chad Beguelin, based upon the New Line cinema film written by David Berenbaum. It is directed by Phillip William McKinley, choreographed by Liam Steele, and running through January 4th at the Marquis Theater at 210 West 46th Street in New York City. Bring some holiday cheer by becoming a patron on my Patreon page, where you can, for as little as $1 a month, support my work here and my classic cinema podcast, Yesterday's Matinee, where we have finished recording our series on the George A. Romero Living Dead franchise. The website features additional goodies, so come on over and pay us a visit. Thank you to my current patrons, especially my Neo and Hamilton tier patrons, and welcome to the new ones. A link will be in the description. Just about every year when the holiday season comes around, there's at least one holiday show that opens on Broadway, whether it be an adaptation of A Christmas Carol or a production of How the Grinch Stole Christmas. There was even an adaptation of A Christmas Story back in 2012. You get the idea. Anyway, this year marks the third production of Elf, which originally ran during the holiday season in 2010 and again in 2012. It's a fun show where, if you don't get too hung up on the details that they changed from the 2003 film, it's going to be entertaining for the whole family. The premise is the same. Buddy, here played by Gray Henson, is an orphan baby who is accidentally brought back to the North Pole, where he is raised by Santa and his elves. Now 30, he sets off on a quest to New York City to find his biological father, Walter Hobbs, played by Michael Hayden. Along the way, he meets Jovi, played by Kayla Davion, whom he falls in love with while at Macy's. He also meets his half-brother Michael, played by Kai Edgar, and Michael's mother, Walter's wife, Emily, played by Ashley Brown, whom he befriends as he struggles to build a bond with his father. Walter is preoccupied with trying to save his career as a publishing executive for a publishing company specializing in children's books, as he botched the latest book and needs to find a new hit book to publish by Christmas. So the story's the same in that regard. Some things are changed. Some you may like, some you may not. Just depends on what you're willing to accept when it comes to the standard changes that happen from film to stage. Buddy doesn't have a father elf at the North Pole, or at least we don't see him. That character has been combined with Santa, who is played by none other than Samwise Gamgee and Rudy himself, Sean Astin, who also plays Mr. Greenway, the owner of the publishing company. That's not a big issue for me. I get it. It's the stage, not a movie, and combining roles help alleviate casting costs. I wouldn't necessarily call any of the changes issues, more like lost wish fulfillment, like the mailroom scene being cut, instead keeping the sequence in Walter's office area. It's still a great sequence, but I kind of have a sentimental place for the mailroom sequence. Most of the changes happen at the end of the musical when Walter, Buddy, Emily, and Michael come together to face off against Mr. Greenway. Some of the changes I get, and I think they make sense, because you can't do everything that you do in a film on stage. Also, if you're going to have an actress like Ashley Brown in your musical, the role of Emily probably should be beefed up a little bit. She has a wonderful duet with Kai Edgar in the number There Is a Santa Claus. Does the number pad the red time? Yeah, but I get why it's there. It's part of the duality of my issues with the adaptation. It's a great number, but it also negates some of the elements about faith that is important to the story. Some of the messages of belief is lost here. It's something that slightly bothered me, but I wouldn't suspect it be much of an issue with most people. I also feel that the extra conflict between Buddy and Jovi is a little much and unnecessarily pads the runtime. I get the desire to want to have more conflict on the relationship end of things, and like the role of Emily getting more stage time, it gives Kayla Davion more things to do, but it's not necessarily needed. The score is catchy. I left the theater humming a Christmas song, which has its own sing-along moments in the show. Nobody Cares About Santa, about disgruntled mall Santas and the abuses they deal with, is a hysterical dance number and owes a debt to Candor and Nebb in its musical style, especially during the reprise at the end of the show. The production design by Tim Goodchild has some genuinely spectacular moments, especially in the show's finale, which should have children cheering with glee. The costumes, though, also by Goodchild, feel like they could have had more time dedicated to them. Buddy's elf costume in particular feels a little lacking compared to previous renditions of the show. Liam Steele's choreography is fantastic. I particularly love the work with the aforementioned Nobody Cares About Santa number and the numbers Sparkle Jolly Twinkle Jingly, where Buddy tries to bring the Christmas spirit to Macy's, and A Christmas Song, where he is on his date with Jovi are a delight. The cast is mostly solid. This is Sean Astin's Broadway debut, and he makes a delightful Santa and an even better Mr. Greenway. Gray Henson, who I loved in Mean Girls and it was great and shocked, is wonderful as Buddy, capturing the wide-eyed wonder and naivete that Buddy has about the human world. Ashley Brown, Kayla Davion, and Kai Edgar are all delightful in their respective roles. My one acting issue is with Michael Hayden as Walter, who has some good moments, but I feel doesn't have the frazzled end-is-near fear of a man who believes he is about to lose everything, expressing that fear through anger at everyone around him. I wanted Walter to be angrier and meaner. The stage adaptation of Elf is delightful. It's going to entertain the children who the show is for. Do I like all the changes? No, but that is part and parcel for film to stage adaptations. Things are going to change, and it's going to be subjective if you're willing to go along with them. The cast is overall good. The music is catchy. It is a touch overlong with the added material, but it shouldn't have children squirming too much in their seats. Oh, and on a side note, don't get any of the snow at the end of the show in your mouth unless you want to know what Ralphie was tasting after getting punished for saying a bad word in A Christmas Story. But I am only one man's opinion, so be sure to leave yours in the comments below. If you'd like to see Elf, I'll leave a link in the description where you can get tickets. Also in the description will be links to my Patreon and Spotify pages, as well as my social media handles where you can support the show. You can also support me by liking and sharing this video, subscribing to the channel, and clicking the notification bell to be alerted to future reviews. I just finished a ton of schoolwork. If you don't know, I'm in grad school, and that's why there have been fewer theater reviews being released of late. So I'm trying to fill in shows I might have missed. But right now, my next scheduled review is TheaterWorks Hartford's annual Christmas production of Christmas on the Rocks. Thank you for watching, and I will see you at the theater.